Yo, JD here, Limitless, and we are back again with another 110 AI video. And before we get into the race, I just want to show you how fast I can go around this track. This is with a completely default setup in Singapore, as you can see, and a lot of people requested this because it's meant to be a very, very hard track against 110 AI, and Singapore, I think we've seen from some of my league races, is probably one of my favorite tracks in the game. It's pretty weird that Monaco is not really a great track for me, but Singapore is. I really enjoy going to live around here, and this lap here with the default, as I said, was very, very good. I won't spoil the lap time until we see it at the end, but it was really, really good, and I think I could go actually even a little bit faster than this, and yeah, pretty good, because obviously 6.6 wings is going to be quicker on the straights, as typically you'd probably run something like 8.11, and that's what I run last time I was around here in that epic league race that I did. Probably one of the best league races I've done in this game. But yeah, 6.6 wings, but you're going to be losing a heck of a lot of downforce in the corners itself. But the main purpose of this is really, I just did this to warm up, but also to compare the 110 AI's qualifying lap that they did on the softs as well, so just give you an indication of how fast they actually are around here. And you can see this lap is almost perfect. A little bit more committed through there perhaps, but the first sector was seriously good. Middle sector really nice as well. The only mistake I made was going through this last corner now. I should have turned earlier. I turned half a car length too late, could have made up another 10th, but it was a 34.2, and I think on a perfect day could have been in the 33s with a default setup, where I think having a real setup will make quite a big difference. I feel that was a pretty good effort. So 34.2 there. So we're going to go into the GP mode now, and of course we're going to put on 110% AI, and we're going to put on a 25% race, and I'm just going to use the stock default setup. The only thing I change, as always, is just the front brake bias and just the on differential, and that is it. Now, corner cutting on strict, damage is on as well. Go put it on clear weather, just so we can have a reasonably good test, because the AI are not meant to be as good in wet conditions. But you can see here, just running the complete stock configuration. So we're going to go out, and exactly as we did at Silverstone, coming across the line, and we're not going to start the lap. We are just going to pull over, because we are going to go near the back, or start near the back, and just see how much progress I can make, and ultimately how fast they really are. And when I do this, it's not about trying to win every single race. It's just about giving you a realistic perspective of what it's like competing against this level of difficulty. And all the overtakes I'll be doing, I'll be trying to make it as realistic as possible, where I'm not just forcing myself down the inside of 8 cars. I'm going to leave them a little bit of space at the start, and I will be showing you the entire race, because I feel this is a good way for people to learn this track. It is a very, very difficult track, and having this being one of my best tracks as well, so hopefully you can learn something. So we're just going to let them go, and I think I actually let them go a little bit too long. And you can see here, I've actually underfueled the car, and I would really recommend doing that around this track, because it is very easy to save fuel. But that is not really the main reason. It's because you just really helps you on tyre temps, and just with the tyre wear and stuff as well. If you run 3 laps, you will find tyre temperatures to be a lot harder to control, and also just having the advantage of gaining probably about a few temps. It's not massive time, but you will definitely be gaining a few temps. But as you can see, we've already caught up, so we're going to go down the inside of 2 Williams here, try not to make hardly any contact as much as possible, and just trying to get into a good rhythm here. But the AI are very, very quick in a straight line, sometimes a little bit overpowered on the traction, so we're going to have to really tiptoe to get past, because remember, damage is turned on as well. So we're going to try and go around the outside of Stroll. Hopefully he's not going to squeeze me into the wall, so we're going to go the long way round, electing to start on the soft tyres as well. Again, just want to do what the front runners are doing, and you can see going from all the way back down here, we're going down the inside of Taurus and making a bit of contact. I said I wasn't going to make contact, but we have to be a little aggressive at times, get the inside of here, and just making sure we run deep so he can't get us back on the inside. And going against this AI they really punish you if you do a half measured move. If you're just halfway down the inside, they will just literally turn in like you're not there, and you really need to be decisive. As I said in my Silverstone video, you have to be committed. Committed is a word I've been using all this week, and you really do need to be committed. But we'll be going through of how I actually approach this track once I get a little bit of clean air. But for now, we're just going to try and navigate through this. So we've made up 4 positions on lap 1. Not too bad. You can see the leaders are quite a way ahead now as well. People get spread out very easy, and this is probably one of the hardest tracks, par Monaco, to overtake on. So it should be quite interesting to see how far I can really get here. And Ski's pretty quick in a straight line, so we really have to spot a braking point using third gear to get that little extra rotation in at the end. I managed to spot it pretty nicely, and you can see already that the AI are very, very quick in a straight line. And I decided to use stock setup not only to just challenge myself a little bit more, but mainly because the AI are supposedly on stock setup themselves. So I really want to be using the same setup they're using. And the only thing I can tell with the AI is I really feel they have a lot more a lot more ERS reserved, because they have insane traction. You can see, look out here, he's got ridiculous traction. I feel they have a lot more than what the typical player would have, let's say. But right now, just trying to find a way to get past him as quick as I can, because obviously I want to get as good position as I can. But there's only really a few, or maybe a couple of overtaking spots on this track, and it definitely isn't through the last sector. But navigating this pretty nicely, trying to stay as close as possible, hooking the inside of this curb and this curb as well. You really do need to do that. A 38.1 for Max Verstappen. You really want to be turning in early on this last corner. What I should have done on my qualifying lap or on the time trial lap, and you can see we've done a really good run on Giovinazzi. We've got to go round the outside using third gear just to make sure we stay on the track, and still having to hold it round the outside. And that is a pretty nice move done on the Alfa Romeo. And now next on the list is Romain Grosjean, and we've got a little bit of clean air now, so we can push, see how quickly we do catch him. And my wheel and all the equipment I'm using and the force feedback will be down below in the description, because a lot of people have been requesting that, along with my camera settings, which I really do like this. And shout out again to Dominic Hoffman for supplying these to me. I feel that I'm driving extremely well at this point. I'm definitely, ever since switching back to my old equipment, I've definitely just been driving so much better, so much more confidence. Yeah, it makes a really big difference if you're on something that you're comfortable on. But going through here, we were slowly starting to catch the Haas going to here and taking a nice wide line, hitting the apex late in second gear, letting it rev out, and then once it's straight, go up through the gears. And you can see the way I'm using my fuel, I'm using lean and pretty much no ERS through most of the corners. In this last sector, you really don't need to be putting up to rich, but I do, because I feel it's going to be quite easy to save some fuel into the positive throughout this race. You can see we're very close, very strong through this last sector, and trying to be as close as I possibly can. That curve's a bit of a tricky one. Sometimes you want to mount it, but this one you definitely do want to mount, and this one you kind of want to mount as well. Going for this last corner, every lap that passes, your tyres are wearing out, so you have to turn in that fraction bit earlier. And now we've got a very nice one, so go around to the outside and repeat as we did on the previous lap, and this time pretty much identical, but he's not going to try and fight me on the inside. And let's see how close. But you can see a harsh reminder that this track is very difficult on tyre temperatures. And what I was going back to before, if you were running 3 laps or something, the car's going to be heavier, and you want to be using, most people will probably be overusing rich, where it's just going to wheel spin your tyres. You will find you'll be struggling a lot more on tyre temps, and running a lean you can really get away with. It's actually probably even quicker round the last sector around this track. It just enables you to get on the traction much easier, and it saves you wear, as I said before. But coming up through here, got onto the back of Kimi Raikkonen pretty quickly, and was thinking about doing a move down the inside here, but we decided to think better of it, because the AI, as I said, they are pretty aggressive. You have to be fully alongside, or even more than alongside. But I sensed the opportunity. I'm going to just dive it down the inside, avoiding tiny bit of contact. I don't think he's got any damage though, and we just absolutely just sent it down the inside here. and now again got a little bit of free air and catching up to Ricciardo. You can see the leaders going into the last corner already, so we really do have to get a move on. If I wanted a chance to win this race, I thought it was going to be very, very difficult, because I still don't have the quickest lap, because it's just so hard to just navigate through this traffic. But going through here again, remembering, just having that muscle memory to just turn in ever so slightly earlier, and you can look with my ERS and fuel, just put it down to lean. Pretty much in all the corners I use lean and no ERS. Again, tyre temps, tyre wear, and just ultimate traction as well. And you can see going back down once again, but leaving it rich now just to get a slightly better exit, putting it back into overtake, and this should be a relatively simple move. We're going to go around the outside this time. They're kind of defending quite a bit on the inside this race, but that was a very, very nice move. And I use 7th gear going into that corner, even in a full qualifying format. I just find it just helps a little bit with the engine braking at the end of that straight, and not as many gears to go down, pretty much in a nutshell. But we've gone into P11 now, so 1 position off the points paying position, and now we're behind Lando Norris. And let's see, normally they're quite slow for this left-hander, but I'm going to elect to do quite a wide line, and that's the line I really do prefer, and trying to get a very, very nice exit come off here. And I was thinking about doing the move to here, but I decided to think a little bit better of it, because I thought it was probably a little bit too far back. The one with Raikkonen, I was definitely closer, but going through this last sector, honestly, there's nothing really you can do. I'm not going to be close enough to almost lose the car, so the tyres are slowly starting to go, but there's no real overtaking opportunities in this last sector. So making sure I hit this curb, and really wanted to hit that curb on the left as well, but remembering to turn in early. You can see definitely helps if I'm turning early, and someone has actually already pitted. Not sure who that was, but we can see we're very, very quick on the straight, so we're just going to use all the track on the entry. We're closing up very, very quickly, using a wide line and then cutting back just to get that slight better traction. And now we're going to leave it in hot lap, because we do have some ERS to play with. And you can see getting a slightly better line coming off here, and we should be able to get this move done pretty early. So we're going to go to the right hand side, and the move should pretty much be done before the braking point. He tries to fight down the inside, but managing to spot the braking point pretty nicely. I was thinking about down the inside of here again, but remembering we want this to be realistic and sensible at the same time. And I actually lose the car a little bit there. I didn't get hit at all. I think I just downshifted the gear when I really didn't need to downshift it, and that has actually set my tyres on fire. I can feel the grip was really starting to be quite difficult now, so it's probably going to get quite close to time that you really do need to pit, and we're not going to be close enough to Magnussen out ahead of me, so we're going to have to wait until the next lap. But I'm predicting that some people will probably be pitting this lap, and you can see very slowly going down the gears as well, and that is something that will help with stability on this game. If you rush down the gears, you're going to find the car to be a lot more oversteer as you just avoid the wall coming to here. But now let's see if anyone pitted. Daniel Kvyat has gone out of the race, and my teammate has gone into the pit, so I could elect to go into the pits, but sometimes even if you're 10 to 12 seconds behind, you will find that you could still be held in the pits as well. So I have to continue for another lap, and I also wanted to continue because I wanted to try and get the overcut on the 2 Haas's, but you can see we're struggling with the tyres now, so we're going to have to try and do as good lap as possible. But we are going to stay on board for this entire race, and we will be talking about how I really approach this track, the braking points, the gear selection, everything I'm thinking about when I do get some clean air, hopefully a little bit later in this race. But for now, it's just all about maximising this in lap as much as possible. Not really too far down in the first sector, but you can see I'm trying to avoid turning as much as possible, because the more you turn, the more chance that you're going to encounter some oversteer. And you can see Bottas is only 12 seconds behind. There's someone who's gone off in the wall. I think that must be, I'm not sure who that is. It looks like it's Williams or something like that, but we're going to try and navigate through this, try and get a very nice exit. It's starting to lock up a little bit now as the tyres are screaming to be changed, but getting some always very, very good traction coming off here. And at least I will have some fresh tyres towards the end of this race. But I was really hoping that I could maybe overcut both of the Haas's or just Magnussen, and that's what I was really hoping to do. But doing this last sector pretty nicely, but you can see the gap is coming down already, and I can confirm the AI is very quick around here, and you can see by the qualifying, we didn't mention that earlier, I think they did a 36.6, which is only 4 tenths away what I did in a time trial, and that's pretty good. But we get damage here, and yeah, we're just going to pretend that just didn't happen by going deep once again. But thank the Lord we do have flashbacks, because that would have just been a complete waste, let's be honest. But going into the pits now, changing onto the medium tyres, and Bottas, my teammate, has already gone past me, along with the 2 Ferraris and Verstappen, and then Alexander Albon has gone past as well. But let's see if I can get ahead of Sainz here. It looks like I'm not going to get ahead of him, but I could get ahead of Hulkenberg, which I'm not. But Magnussen, let's see if I've managed to overcut him, which I have. I've just about overcut him now. So now we have a little bit of clean air, which I should be able to catch Hulkenberg reasonably quickly. My goal is to get in the DRS zone by the end of this lap, and then, as I said, we can actually start talking about once I start doing some real laps here. But the way I drive, and the way you should drive on every track, is to apply the same fuel, same ERS for every corner. You really want to have that muscle memory down and just that strategy down for each corner. You know exactly what gear you go use, what fuel you go use, what ERS you go use. And the only time you should really change that is if you're being caught or you need to get out of the DRS zone or so on. That's the only time you need to change it. But apart from that, you should be trying to drive the same every single time. But on this lap, you can see we've already increased the gap to Magnussen behind, and we've started to catch Hulkenberg already. So we're going a little bit deep, so need to get used to these tyres just a little bit more. They do feel quite different to the soft tyres. But going through this last sector, I'm very strong going through here, and the stock setup doesn't really feel too bad at all. But just with the 811 wing, or the normal setup would have been running, I would have just had a lot more downforce in this. But looks like I'm not going to be close enough for a move going into turn 1, so I'm really hoping on the main straight I can do something. So making sure I turn it early, got on the DRS, and I should be able to close up pretty quickly. And I don't think he's really going to hold me up too much going into here. Make sure I maximise the track on the entry and the exit. Going through here now, look how much time we have gained through the first few corners. We gained a ton of time. So going through here now, this should be a pretty easy move. Nice tight line on the exit, putting it up into max, and then overtake. No damage on the wing or anything at all. And this should be a very simple move. Can move back to the racing line, in fact, before here, and we should be able to catch Carlos Sainz pretty quickly as well, and hopefully not in the last sector just as we start the next lap, to avoid me being held up, because I really want to try and catch the Red Bull of Alexander Albon at least ahead of him. If I could do that with this, I think that'd be a pretty good effort actually, in fact. So we're catching him through this middle sector, driving very well at this point, taking a very wide line, and then once he hit the apex, going up into second gear and then going on the power, leaving it in high because I don't want to catch him too quickly in this last sector. Not going purple or anything at all, but very good exit come up here, and we've already pulled a second out from Nico Hulkenberg. And you can see, I don't know what has happened to him here. Don't know if he's got wing damage or something at all, but he is just going very slowly, and this is kind of a typical behaviour of the AI. Sometimes they're absolutely rapid, and then other laps are not, and that's, I don't know if it's because they've just expended all their energy or something. I have absolutely no idea. But making sure we turn nice and early, as you can see here, and then putting up into rich and to hot lap, and this again should be quite an easy move down the inside, having to leave a little bit of room just in case. And now this is where I can actually start pushing here. So we're going to go up into rich and hot lap. We're going to try and really push hard to see how much time we can gain on this Red Bull. And over the next few laps, I'll just be talking about where I'm braking and what I'm thinking about going through every single corner here. And you can see the gap is about 8.5 seconds. So, you know, we've got a lot of time to gain, just under 2 seconds a lap if we really want to make an impact on this here. But yeah, the gears, I use the same gears every single time. You really want to try and not deviate from that as much as possible. But yeah, I really like this track. It's a track where it's kind of like Monaco as well, where I feel I'm really quick in the race in Monaco, just not in qualifying. This track, you have to be on the limit the whole time. If you're not on the limit, you'll probably go more chance of you making a mistake or getting damaged and stuff as well. You really do need to be pushing it. And if you're pushing it, then you get rewarded quite heavily. If you're just cautious, as I said, you're just going to get damaged and you're just not going to be fast at all. And I really love just flirting with the walls around here. And yeah, it's weird. I used to really not like this track, but I really, really do like this track. I just feel really connected to the car coming around here. So now we're going to start a lap and we're going to push as hard as we can, as we set the quickest lap of a 37.7, so that's not too bad. So going into here, just after the black box, you want to be using all the track going into here, late apex, and using first gear this time, that was not optimal. You really want to be doing second, but going up to here, as we hit this curb, that's your braking and turning in point. Don't be afraid to go on the curb on the inside, because it will give you a very nice line for the exit up here. Staying in 7th gear, as the barrier then dips out, that is your braking point, and you really want to be turning early, using all the track on the inside and the outside, just before the black box. That is your turning in point. First gear to get a little extra rotation. Aim for the black box just before you hit that. That is your turning in point, and go down to 3rd gear if you need that extra bite into the corner. Out here just before the red and white box, that's your turning point, and another red and white box on the left, if you can see that, that's again your turning in point. This one here, as the car is straight here, that is your turning in point. I do a super wide line. I find you just get an immense exit if you can do that right as well. Coming to here, I leave it in 6th gear just for that engine braking as we hit the 100 meter board. 2nd gear, short shifting into 3rd to minimize the wheel spin. We get a track limit warning here. And just before the 50 meter board, you want to be turning this, riding this curb on the inside. You really do need to hook that inside curb, and the same for this. You really have to do that if you want to maximize this. You can kiss this curb, you can get away with that. As a black box goes out of view, that's your turning point. Hooking both of these curbs once again and short shifting into 4th gear just before the black box. That is your turning in point in 5th gear, and coming across the line. That was a pretty good lap, apart from turn 2 or 3. That would have been really good. And again, we are just going to do exactly the same thing, and this is a slightly better line this time. We mucked it up on the last time, but you just want to be hitting these same points every single lap, and you can see using overtake on the straights, and then you can really get away with running no ERS or lean, especially in the race around here. In the qualifying, I'd probably use high through the corners, and then just leave it in max settings. But in the race, I typically would leave it in lean, because it's very hard to be overtaken around here, as long as you get good traction, and then just use the max settings on here. But you just have to get quite busy with your hands though, in order to get used to this. And if you really want to be quick on games like this, then unfortunately, which I'm not particularly a fan of, you have to be comfortable using the ERS and fuel and constantly flicking it around. And a lot of people have asked me what my wheel is. My wheel currently is the TSXW Thrustmaster base with the TM or the TSPC Racer add-on wheel, and I'm just using just the basic T3PA plastic pedals, the 3 pedal set. And yeah, it's I'd use a D-pad on this wheel. Luckily the TM wheel has a D-pad. I use a Sparco wheel, and that doesn't have a D-pad, so you really need a wheel that has a D-pad. But I did used to use a Fanatec. I won a race around here with the Fanatec in WOR actually, and that just has, what does it have? It just has a toggle that you use, which is quite awkward to use, but you can get used to it. It's not too bad at all. But you can see here just constantly changing the fuel and the ERS, and really you just want to be treating it like scale electrics. You just want to be hitting the same point every single time, and you just really want to get into room. This is a track where you definitely need to get into somewhat of room, but you can see the gap has come down quite a bit now to about 5 seconds. And apologies if I am talking too much, but I'm just trying to really help people who are struggling with this track, to just give you my thoughts as much as possible when I'm going around here, because I know a lot of people find this a bit of a nightmare. And I think just showing some raw footage, again, just gives you a realistic view of what it really takes to be very good around here. Not saying I'm the best around here, but to be driving at a decent pace, I would say for sure around here. And no, I feel I've definitely have achieved that when I've done that. And yeah, just using the same gears every single time, gaining quite a bit in the middle and the last sector, that I definitely do gain. And as the tyres start to wear out, you just have to change your driving slightly. You just have to just turn that a little bit earlier each and every single time, but just trying to hit the same points every time as well. And you know, it's a tough track. It's really, really tough, and probably just as tough as Monaco. If you just take your eye off the ball, it's so easy not only to get damaged, but it's so easy to get warnings around here. The track limits are quite strict around this track, and luckily we've only got one warning, but it is very, very difficult to just focus entirely, especially if you've got a 50% race or something. It's yeah, it can be a bloody nightmare around this track, to be fair. So, but luckily we have pulled out a huge gap behind, and we are slowly starting to catch definitely the two Ferraris and the Red Bull, or both the Red Bulls. It looks like they are struggling quite a bit, so I think we are, well, confirmed it with the fastest up of the race. I think we're the fastest car on track at this point. And you can see the way I'm driving with the wheel, as your tyres start to go off, you really don't want to be, you want to avoid overturning the car with the steering wheel angle, because if you do that, you will just heat up your tyres and it will be very, very hard to recover. As you can see, I'm trying to avoid really going past 90 degrees as much as possible. Really, you really want to be rotating the car with your braking and just throttle application. You can see corners like this, you really do need to, but just being as smooth as you can around here, it'll be huge. It'll be absolutely huge. And this is one of the tracks where also you just don't want to be pushing to the absolute max that qualifying lap each time. You've got to be committed, but you just got to be, you just don't want to be throwing it around as if you've got unlimited grip, because otherwise you can see like this, you know, starting to lose the car there. If you start to push it, which I am pushing it quite a bit now, you will be losing the car before you know it, and before you've even realised you've lost it. So using all the track going into here, using the curb on the inside and the exit, a late apex into here. You can use first gear, but I would recommend second in here. Aiming forward the curb before this DRS straight after the back box, turning in and get on the power. As soon as you hit the inside apex, you want to be getting on the power, almost full power, very, very quickly. Stay tight to the right to minimise the distance of the track. As the curb then goes outwards, that's your braking and turning in point. Going up into fifth gear just before the back box, I use first gear to just get that little extra bite, and then quickly short shifting up through the gears. Fourth gear and then third gear mid apex just to get a little bit more rotation. Then going up into sixth gear, going down 2 gears as we hit that white and red box. And then that other one there, you can see, we want to really drive over this curb. Not drive over this one, but stay super, super wide through here. And even if you get a slower entry, you will be getting a much, much better exit. You can see the tyres are not too bad going here, but we are gaining pretty quickly now on the cars ahead. But it looks like, unless the AI can get corner cuts or penalties, it's going to be 6th place here today. But I think from where we were in the grid and how we've navigated through it, being pretty reasonable and not really exploiting the game or anything. No, again, I just want to show you a real perspective of how difficult this AI actually is and how good you have to drive against this AI if you want to win. I feel if I did a one-shot quali and then a race, I think I would have won this race pretty comfortably, but we've come home in P6 this race. I hope you enjoyed that raw footage. Let me know which other ones you want me to do next. Again, apologies if I'm talking loads, but I'm just trying to give you my thought process throughout the whole race as much as I possibly can. So hopefully you appreciate it. Let me know what you want me to do next. If you want me to do one shot quali and then start from the front, let me know. But as always, thank you so much for supporting my channel recently. It is absolutely immense as well. You know, I can't put into words how much that means to me. Thank you so much. I'll catch you soon. Peace.